Can you see this dude? Good morning, squirrel. You like my asters? It's an aster buddy's got in there. They're all down here. Have you been topping those off and eating them? It's a pretty good way to start my September garden tour, huh? Let's see. He's not scared of me in the least bit. You can have one. No more than that. Got it? All right. Let me back you back out a little bit. All right, so he is sitting in the front yard. This is the front of the house. I have got dwarf zinnia here, and in the beginning of the season, I'm like, I hate those. They're just so licky. They look so funny, but they have really thickened up, and they look really good there. I'm going to do dwarf zinnia here next year all the way down. This right here are asters. They looked gorgeous when they came up, but they fall over. So they're going to get a new home, and I'm going to do these dwarf zinnia all down the fence with this honeysuckle. And then those are irises, obviously. I also have peonies in here that my husband mowed, so I assume they'll come back. Nope, I said mowed too loud. I scared our friend. Here's the rest of the front of the yard, though. These are all little cabbage heads, and they're really there for decorative purposes and to feed my friend the squirrel. But if you look, a lot of them are getting little heads, and they're going to be a little bit buggy, but I'll go through and just kind of, at the end of the season, pick them all and clean them up, give the leaves to the chickens, and take whatever I got to make cabbage. You know, sauerkraut. This front is cucumber and a couple of beans. These cucumbers are the silver slicers. They are still producing. I don't know if I can find one. I just picked a bunch of them, but look at, there's a guy right there. There's guys down there in the ground. So I am definitely just going to do silver slicers next year. They worked really good for pickling. They're bigger. They're easier to work with. They don't have as thick of a skin. Oh, I got a nice one up there. I don't know if you can see. Up on top there. See them right there? So I'm going to do just silver slicers next year. I'm going to do them here and on the side of the house. So 2 batches of them. Here I've got tomatoes, and I just went through and picked these all, but I've gotten a ton of tomatoes. These are Amish paste, and I've never grown Amish paste before, and I've gotten some huge Amish paste tomatoes. They're just pretty monsters. Look at them. Just nice and big and meaty, perfect for my sauce. So I'm definitely growing Amish paste again next year. Back here, these ones are, oh, look at that guy. I don't know if you can see him or not. Okay, next to the Amish paste, I also tried another paste tomato. This one is called Opelka. It is a Polish paste tomato. It's an heirloom. And I had this one guy, look at him. Isn't he cool? So they were slower going. I didn't think they were going to do very much. I may give them another chance next year. I'm not sure. This is my tomato jungle. It's hard to see like through a video, but it's just... And it goes back here too. The ones next to the Opelkas are San Marzanos. Those are the ones that I do every year. And they are smaller, but I kind of know how to deal with them at this point, and they've got really good flavor, and they're kind of my go-tos. So I probably will always have some of those going unless I really get excited about these Opelkas and these Amish paste. This is my bean tower. That's probably, oh, I don't know, at least 10 feet up in the air. They started down here. I grew them in a basket with a little teepee, which they quickly outgrew. So I put strings up to the top of the roof of the porch. And they just followed them. And so they're also a purple pole bean. They are a different variety than the one in the backyard. I think this one's called Blohildai. And the other one is a French string bean. I don't know. I'll have to look them up. But they're doing good. Again, all my beans I'm going to let dry out. And just use them for dry beans or for seed. And then this is the herb flower garden, my pollinator garden. This alyssum has gotten like out of control. Can you see this? It is a good 2 feet away from, it's planted in this crack, and it's all the way out here. So that is definitely going to happen again next year. Back in here, This is sweet woodruff. It is an herb. I don't know what you do with it. I just thought it was pretty, and so I grew it this year, and it spreads by running. So I'm gonna have to put it back in its spot a little bit. I got all my succulents and stuff in here. I got a rosemary that's doing okay, not great, but okay. Up here, I've got thyme. This oregano has taken over the bed. Can you hear my crickets? Taken over my bed this year. But as soon as it started flowering, the bees loved it so much that I just kind of let it go. I might dig it out of there and move it somewhere next year. Maybe just to somewhere new in this bed. I'm not really sure. I got my phlox back there. Here's another bully. This lemon balm is going everywhere. This lemon balm is 100% coming out of here. I'm going to put it by the chicken coop. I think it will smell good. It's got good properties for keeping the chicken coop clean. And it's going to go there. It can spread to its heart's content. They can eat it. I don't care. Back in here is borage. Now, I don't find borage particularly pretty. The bees seem to like it, but the plant kind of grows in a very crazy way. I think I'm also going to pick that up out of there and move that back with the lemon bulb by the chicken coop. Because you really can't tell, but there's a bunch of pots in here. And you really can't see them. They just kind of went bonkers. These are snapdragons that have kind of gone past. There's the lupin plant. Here's my crazy zinnias. I love planting zinnias here. I don't know why. They just kind of fall out everywhere. They're just so pretty. And then behind the bushes here, which need to be cut, I have got like some pollinator stuff that's all going to seed. So it looks terrible. But that is scarlet runner bean, butterfly weed. Here's all my milkweed. Look at those pods pop open. I don't know if you know this or not. These pods pop open and those are all the little seeds. And they fly away and they make more milkweed. So you can see how many of them I got. When they get brown like that, I try and pick them. This one, obviously, I was on vacation, so it's gone. I've got some more zinnias back here and some more dill seed to harvest. A little bit of lemon balm. And then back in this corner, I tried growing Kajari melons on this netting, and I got one. I think I actually got two, but I don't think you might be able to see the other one. See them? 1, 2. Something's eating the bottom one. I've never grown Kajari melons, but my favorite YouTube farm lady, Miss Jess over at Roots and Refuge, swears by them, so I decided to try them this year. I'm going to try them again next year in a better spot. This is a Tithonia. It's a Mexican sunflower. It used to be standing straight up, but when it rained really hard last rain, it knocked it over. So this was probably, no joke, a 10 to 12 foot plant. It was just monstrous. It's got flowers everywhere. They bloom forever. Butterflies and bees love them. They got this flat disc shape so they can land on them. And that's actually my kitchen window. And I used to sit in my kitchen window, do the dishes, and watch the bees. They're so pretty. And it's monstrous. Like, look how big this is. Super big. So I will definitely grow that again next year. Maybe even in the same spot, but I might give it a trellis up to the roof. We'll see. In here is a pot. Can you see underneath there? And this is Barry's Crazy Cherry Tomatoes. Look at those. They only go yellow. They produce bonkers. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them again next year. I might. I'm going to see what Brent thinks about the flavor of them. They produce like crazy. Like, look, they're just like falling out everywhere. There's so many of them. They produce like crazy, but they're a yellow tomato, which is typically not Brent's favorite. So we'll see. All right, so this is the pollinator herb garden for fall. Pretty much all I do is kind of let it get ugly. I kind of let things dry up and so I can save seeds. I trim it back when it's done, and then we just feed the birds with bird seed, and the birds live in these evergreen bushes all winter and fall. They have berries and stuff, so the birds all hang out here, and I just kind of let it go crazy. So I don't plant anything new for fall here. I will take cuttings of any of the herbs and take them in the house and try and get some plants going in the house for the winter, and that's about it. Okay, here is the Ingrown Garden, my big one, Mason's little one, and the fence garden. It is a giant mess, and this happens because these sunflowers all start to go, and I have to come through and cut them. So I spent a good amount of time yesterday coming through, and if you can tell, I cut all the bottom leaves off and started trimming the dead heads off of them, and it just leaves big empty spaces, which is okay. I have zinnia planted in between. Sometimes they come up and fill in, sometimes not. These all look really sad. I had to cut back all of the echinacea. It looks awful, but they'll be just fine. These are my volunteer marigolds that just popped up. And you can tell I got up to here. And then this is what that all looked like before. Like it was all half in the sidewalk. And this one got too heavy and fell over. And while they look amazing, this is the public sidewalk. And I garden in the city, and I don't want to be a nuisance. So I do tie these back, which makes them a little ugly sometimes. But I'm going to tie these all back. So people can walk on my sidewalk and I'm not a nuisance in the neighborhood. But these go all the way to the end. That red building behind there, that's the chicken coop. And here is more of that tromboncino squash. Look, I got 2 of them there. I've got one hanging up here. The vines go all the way down into the neighbor's yard. Volunteer sunflowers. Yeah, they're a little crazy, but they're so pretty. So this is the view if you're walking this way. So you can see pretty much here up, that all needs to go backwards. So that's my project for tonight. I do it at dusk because right now there's hundreds of bees everywhere and they object when I start moving their stuff around. Here's the Ingrown Garden. Pretty much for fall, I've taken this whole back out. This is a volunteer watermelon plant that I'm just leaving right now until I figure out what I'm going to do. But back here, I'm going to come out. I've already started some plants. I'm going to put cabbage starts, beets. I'll probably put a row of carrots in here. And I'll just fill this back row up. I'm going to leave this middle centerpiece thing I got of chard and zinnia. I think it looks really pretty. I think it gives the bugs something to eat. I don't know if you can tell, but the earwigs really, really, really like my chard. So I'm gonna let that keep going for now. And then on either side of it, I'm gonna come in and plant kale and spinach. Probably just one side kale, one side spinach, or maybe a couple plots each, I'm not sure. But those will go. I can get those all the way through the wintertime here almost. The kale will take forever, like January it'll die. These are my melons, they're still going. These are the Minnesota midget melons. Now the plants are done. Like they're just awful, but I gotta leave them alone because these need to ripen on the vine. So I got 3 here, 4, 5, 6. I think that's it for these. Oh, someone's trying to eat it, see? Ugh. This one's almost ready. These are the best melon. I did grow some other melons you'll see down here, but this is the melon I'm gonna grow next year in large quantities. And then next to it, I've got the sugar babies. I have quite a few of these guys going. Here you go. I think this one's probably ready. Yeah, close. And I have sugar babies from here to about there. I've got 1, 2, 3, this guy in here. So I'm just trying to pick a watermelon every couple days. They store better out here than they do in my fridge. Here's another one. There's another one. And those go to about here. So those are all my watermelon. Those Minnesota midget melons on the end. And then this end, these look terrible. But look at the, can you see that guy? Oh, here's a good one. These are called Queen Anne's Pocket Melon. And on the inside, they're actually white. I don't think I'm gonna grow them again. I gave some away to see if anybody else likes them. There's a couple more. They're super prolific. They're going out into my yard. They're still producing, even here in September. However, they're white on the inside. It's not super tasty. It's kind of a bland melon. And there's a big, huge seed pocket in the middle. So there's very little flesh per melon. So next year, I'm gonna do just sugar baby watermelons and Minnesota midget melons in the ground garden here. Got some flowers still going. So when I yank all this up, I am going to put a row of garlic in here to overwinter, and I'm going to put carrots in here. And that should pretty much be my fall garden out here. As far as Mason, this is Mason's watermelon garden. He still has quite a few too. He's got 1, 2, 3, and I think he's got one more under here. And then he's got this giant pile of beans. I don't know if you can see this. This is a tower that fell over. Look, there's the end of the stick. Fell over. He's growing these beans, but they are a dry bean. So we're letting them all dry out on the thing here. He comes out and picks them every once in a while. They are a, they're like a cattle bean. They're maroon. I can't remember the name of them. They're maroon and white. And he is super excited to try beans this year. So when Mason's garden is done, I do think we'll probably just put marigolds or something in here just for fall pollinators. So that is the fall in-ground garden. Good morning, chickens. All right, here's a chicken coop. Look at that crazy thing. Those are tromboncino squash. You can kind of see this bed serped apart. So in the corner, there are 2 little plants with these tromboncino squash. There's a plant and a plant. They have grown up over the chicken coop. They have grown down into the lawn. Oh, that's a chicken. I got one chicken, Margot. She's kind of a dummy. There's 1, 2, 3. Good morning, Margot. Oh. There's a bunch of them in there. It has grown over this side, over where my pumpkins are, down into here, everywhere. I've probably pulled off, I'm going to say 7 of these big squash already, and I probably got about a dozen more on there. So this is the back corner for the fall garden. These will just stay until winter. You can use the tromboncino squash as winter squash, so I'm going to leave these guys alone for the fall garden. My back wall, I don't know if you can see, but I got pumpkin back there. Those are sugar pie pumpkins. There's another one growing on the back wall. Those I will also leave for the fall garden and then just clean up in October or so. On this side of the fence, here's my corner. These are my heirloom tomatoes, all up on top, and the bottom down here, these are my yellow beans, my last late planting of yellow beans. Now, these guys are all doing really good. I don't know if you can kind of tell. Let's go in here and look, but I gotta thin them out a little bit and clean them up, but lots and lots of green heirloom tomatoes. I'm gonna go through and top them off because it's getting a little chilly at night, and just clean some other branches away to get some more airflow in there. But I am just still harvesting tomatoes and putting them in the freezer. That one's pretty. Look at that striping. That's pretty. These are the beans. I am letting them dry out, and I'm going to use these ones for seed. So those are all going to dry out. So fall garden, these will all stay until they're all done. And then when I rip all of this out, I will put things in here. I'll probably do carrots there this year, I think. I'll just direct sow something. And because it's kind of protected in the backyard, it'll be good for a while. Good morning. Okay, other side of the yard. This is the reality of what my garden looks like in the fall. Isn't it? It's a little rough. But last night I pulled out that whole back row. That was where all my peppers were, and I had some sunflowers back there that were pretty much done. So I pulled the sunflowers out last night and fed them to the chickens. Oh, I got some zinnias left. Aren't those pretty? Pulled all the peppers out. They're in a giant pile right here. Maybe I'll pop a picture in there of all the ones I harvested. They probably could have gone a little bit longer, but because they were on this top row, they got a lot of shade from this fence as the sun went across this way. They got shaded from these beans that I've got here that are drying out. And these are determinate tomatoes, and they got too big and bushy. So my peppers didn't get enough sun in that spot. So next year, I am not growing determinate pepper, or not determinate tomatoes here. Even though they did great. Like there's they're just everywhere. Like I got so many. But I might put a bed of these in at my mom's where she's got more room. And this lower bed is gonna be peppers again next year. So it's 16 foot, 2 foot wide. I can do an entire thing of peppers. They'll do better there. And I'll put something else up on top here. For fall, I'm gonna finish cleaning this up and give it some compost. And I'm gonna plant my garlic on the back. I'm gonna do 2 back rows of garlic with 1 interplanted. And then that front row, I'm gonna do heads of lettuce. Then when I pull these tomatoes out for the year, I will put leaf lettuce down here. So I'll just sow it, a whole bunch of seeds kind of everywhere. And then I'll just use it for cutting lettuce until I can't anymore. And then these beans up here, I don't know if you can really see. I don't really know how much I want to jump back here. But these beans are all dried out. My husband's like, oh, these look terrible. I'm like, they're supposed to. They are black beans. So I'm going to enlist his help this weekend. And we're going to pull all these down and shell all those and have black beans. And then the only other thing in the backyard I got going on is, this kind of crazy pile of stuff. Look at these are my son's watering inventions. These are mostly just herbs. I've been harvesting herbs as we go along. I'll leave those herbs alone. I'm letting things dry out. So I don't know if you can see, those are dill seeds. So I'll come through and harvest all those dill seeds. I'll come through and do flower heads. It's a zinnia. I'll save that for seed. These are snapdragons. I'm letting those go to seed. And then over here I have my hot peppers, which I'm letting go to the very end of the season. I've got Tabascos, paprika, fish peppers, and I think these are Sugar Rush Peach. And I've got Tequila Sunrises back here that I just picked off. But I'm going to let those all go to the end of the season. Then I'm going to pick them all and turn them into hot sauce. Oh, and then I have these are all basils. Aren't they cute? I'm going to grow these and put them in little jars and sell them. They're called box basils. They're super little. Aren't they adorable? All right, so that's the backyard in transition to fall. Blah. Okay, this is the driveway. As you can see, giant ripping out season. Been tearing stuff out, cutting stuff back. I always keep the flowers. I can't bear to let them go. My zinnias are doing super good still. I'm going to do, hi Bee. Good morning. How are you? These guys love my flowers. There's one right there. Can you see the other one? There's one right there. Oh. Anyway, let me back it back up. This corner bed is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. It's just made out of black. If you look down here, you can see the blacks. It's just a little black garden. I think it's maybe 4 foot by 6, 4 foot by 7. And it's got all these crazy beans. Deb, you wanted to see a bean pole. This is my best bean pole. These are a purple pole bean. Can you hear that guy? He's like, leave me alone. All right. These did exceptionally well. And I am letting them all dry out. I'm going to use them as a dry bean and save them for seed. But they are growing over top of the heirloom tomatoes, which I got a bunch back in there. And actually, they are growing too much on top. They're having a hard time ripening in there. So next year, I can't grow the beans and the tomatoes there. And I don't know which one I'm going to grow there because I think they look so cool with these beans everywhere. They're going all the way here. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do here next year. For fall, I'm going to leave this the way it is. So I'm going to let all these heirloom tomatoes ripen up and then I'll yank them. I'm going to let all these beans go to seed, dry up, and then I will shell them all and I will let this bed rest for fall. Oh look, here's me cutting all my I can't bear to cut down flowers and leave the flowers, so they always end up in buckets everywhere. Trash buckets. I got a couple little guys here. Parsley, some strawberry runners that I can't bear to let go. I have no idea what is eating these. I'm going to have to do some investigating. This is a flower. I forget, honestly, what kind of flower it is. Hang on a second. I'm going to find out. That's not the right tag. That's the problem when you garden a lot. You have a bunch of tags. All right, we'll get back to that. But something, I gotta do that. And more parsley here, more parsley here. Those are all gonna get cut down and made into herbs for the winter. So here's the side garden. I hit this guy pretty hard this week. I got some random vines I'm just letting go right now. Bean vines. These guys, I planted beans in. You can see the beans. And they didn't do well. They're not getting enough here. I'm gonna put some cabbages in those. I've cut down a bunch of my flowers. This bed, if you remember, was pickles, pickling cucumbers. And now I've gone through and I've put kohlrabi here. So I'm gonna go kohlrabi on this bed for the fall. Same thing here with all these buckets. These were all cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna go this way, I think that'd be easier to see. These were all cherry tomatoes. I pulled them out, they were doing terrible. And I have put beets in them for the fall. So I'll have beets in all those buckets right there. This I have to clean out still. As I clean this out, I'll just go through and put in some more succulents and stuff. This is my 4th of July tomatoes. They're doing really good still, so I'm leaving them alone. They will come out shortly. For now, I've got more kohlrabi down here. And I will probably just put a row of carrots or something behind them to finish out my fall planting. And then this is my last, it's so funny looking, my last planter in the driveway side. And all these sunflowers have fallen over. I'm letting them go so I can get seed. You gotta let them kind of knot off and dry and hope the birds don't get them all. And then I'll cut those down. And I have got kale in here that has gone all year long. So I already have a good start. This is a kale. This is hilarious. This kale I cut all the way back down to the ground and gave the entire thing to my chickens because it was looking kind of beaten up. And then it just started growing again. So I've got kale and a couple basils in here. I put some kohlrabi in here. And I put some beets down in here. So this is already good for fall. So this is probably the area I'm most ready for fall. It looks awful, but everything is growing.